This is so weird. You're watching me do this.
I'm not judging.
Okay.
I love the videos. You do a great job.
Thank you. Greetings, Lightworkers. I'm here with my friend Ilana Kapra, who is joining us from New Zealand, Wellington, right?
Yes.
All right, Wellington. And Ilana and I have been friends for a while. We met in the Actors Workout with Ray Burke in Minneapolis. And we did a Romeo and Juliet scene together. We've been through a lot, really. So Ilana posted an article on her blog recently where she talks about the challenges of being an empath and how that's affected her romantic relationships and dating girls there in New Zealand. And so I wanted to catch up with her and just find out how her journey's going and maybe explore some of these ideas further. All right? So, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I feel like we need to do that thing like on radio stations where they're like, "How are you, Michael?" Like,
Oh, I'm great. How are you? This is our first time talking today.
obviously.
Obviously. Yeah.
Good. I'm good. Been really like feeling like for the last couple of weeks that things were not as connected as I had thought they were, and feeling really down. And then I realized, the full moon happened 2 nights ago, and all of a sudden some things started like falling into place in my life. So I'm like really in a good place this morning, just really excited for.
Like you feel like the full moon kind of brought up a lot of transformation for you, or just like mixed things up?
Like some clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like, so there's a healing center just down the street from the house where I'm staying, and they had like a full moon event where they just did some like group meditation, and like it was really like I went to that, and that was just really nice to like help me give myself the space that I needed to process some things. So that was really, really lovely, really welcoming, open people there. It was really, really nice.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's cool how like no matter where we go, when you're at a certain vibration, you're going to find the people that you need and the support system you need. It's like, it's a pretty amazing reflection of that.
Yeah, and also if you don't need people and you need to be by yourself for a while, you can look, but you won't find anyone.
Yeah. It's equally
and that's
as
kind
helpful.
of where I was at. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's good to be back with the people now.
Yeah, it's good to have both, I think. So do you want to talk about that article a little bit? I know you mentioned that you posted it accidentally, so it was more of kind of like a diary journal in some ways, and got posted publicly, which I think is really sweet because it was very authentic and from your heart.
Well, I had been writing it, and I had written it with like the intention that like maybe someday when I was brave enough, I would share it. And I mean, the internet intimidates me because in some ways it's so anonymous because there's so many things that get posted. And in some ways it's so like intimate and there's no privacy at all, like because anyone in the world could look at it. And so I was just not sure how I felt about it. And then, the interwebs decided they were just going to do it anyway, which was a user error. I had set it up automatically and I didn't realize that I had done that. And so, yeah.
So for people who are watching who haven't maybe read your article yet, do you want to just give like a quick recap of like what you were conveying?
Sure. So I guess it was a sort of frustration. It was about a frustration I've had for a long time, probably since high school, since like being interested in one another, like romantically was a thing in my life. It's about sort of when you're an empathetic person, people are attracted to you and they're attracted to your empathy, but not necessarily to who you are as a person. And so they don't necessarily see who you are or perceive, and the relationship can be kind of one-sided, so that like all you're being is sort of a therapist to them and like a sounding board for them and like a reflection of them back to themselves so that they can see and have some more clarity. And it makes them feel very much vindicated and not alone, and that's great. But where does it leave the mirror kind of feels a little left out and lonely. I mean, I felt like I've had a lot of relationships, especially when I was younger and didn't have as much clarity about what was happening, that were just really lonely and one-sided because I never felt seen by my friends. I was always that person that was just there for them, and we always could talk about their problems, but I never felt like I could really share my problems with them because they didn't really understand. They didn't have that empathy to give me back. So, yeah.
Do you think it was confusing? I'm just thinking, like, for myself, that growing up, I thought that everyone was empathic. I thought that everyone was the same as me in that way. And so, like, it took me a while to have the wisdom, I guess, to, like, recognize that, oh, like, not everyone's going to be coming from the relationship the same way. Like, do you feel like you went through that switch at all? Or did you always kind of realize that maybe you were seeing things differently?
No, I think I just, this is going to sound arrogant. I guess I thought I was just smarter than other people sometimes. Like,
Sure.
I that is like, well, why can't you see this? Why can't you feel this? This is obviously there.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, maturity and wisdom has sort of come in realizing, oh, other people have different strengths.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because yeah, I was more of like when I would find another empath, be like, oh, I love it when I meet smart people. Like I was just equating it with this sort of emotional intelligence. So I guess I did realize it at a pretty young age. But I also was holding other people to the same standard of emotional intelligence and just being like, what's wrong with you? You selfish person. Why can't you see? And so now realizing that that's just a different intelligence than other people.
It's just like part of the ecosystem.
And other things I'm not intelligent at. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess that's more what the realization was for me was, yeah.
So what I wanted to talk about is that, so you notice that you've been like attracting these certain relationships where you've kind of, it's felt kind of one-sided. And like, I have this belief that we attract relationships that are serving us in some way, that like we're basically asking for it in some way because we need it at some level. And I'll just say, like, for myself, I think being an empath has caused me to be so sensitive to the world that in a lot of ways I felt unsafe. And so I've been in a lot of romantic relationships with people that maybe on some deep level I didn't really feel right about, but I went into anyway because it offered me a sense of security in exchange for me being the mirror for them, me holding that space for them. I don't think that I truly recognized that until recently, that I've been playing that role, and that I've finally been realizing, like, oh, what would it be like for me to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't need me to play that role for them? Like, what would that feel like? And I don't think until recently I felt that I actually deserved that or could have that.
That's really cool that you have that realization now, though. Like, how amazing will it be when you find someone who has like the maturity to find their own therapist and not use you for that? Like, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I've had the opposite problem. Like, I have never been in an official long-term like dating relationship, and part of that was like me discovering my sexuality and not realizing, like, trying to go on dates with boys that I was not attracted to for a long time.
Yeah.
And then and like I came from a friend group in high school that just didn't date really. We were all friends and we liked each other, but like didn't actually do anything about it till we got a bit older. And then I guess, yeah, I found that more friendships have been ruined by or ended by this imbalance, because what will happen is I'll become friends with someone, and as the friendship matures and sort of becomes more intimate, they will start to like have feelings for me that they think are romantic, and that's fine, except then if I don't reciprocate, then the friendship sort of has to end, or it has ended in the past. I don't know if it has had to. But like you asked the question initially, what about in myself was attracting this? And I think it was a need to feel like I need to fix people, which I was watching one of your videos was actually about this. Like, I felt like, no, it's my job to heal people. It's my job to be this for someone. And sort of out of a sense of like, probably like pride of like, oh, I can do this, or like, you know, I don't know, some sort of egotistical thing too. But like, I think some of it came from my religion. I was taught to. I was raised very Christian, and that's a very sort of like Jesus-esque, the way that it's taught now, whether that was, you know, how it's supposed to be or not, to be like, no, you are supposed to go out and be the light in the world, and like you are supposed to help people, and And
I'm
so,
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
if you don't mind me interrupting, I'm getting chills right now
No.
because this, I think, is the fundamental mistake that light workers, empaths, star seeds, indigo children make, which is what gets them like trapped. It's this mistaken belief that what a light worker looks like, what it looks like to be a light for people. And even if you really look at the teachings of Jesus, what he taught is basically overcoming the error of sin by recognizing the oneness, the perfection in all people. So Jesus was able to heal people because he saw beyond the sin, beyond the error, that they were broken, that they were, in some cases, dead of the body. Like he was able to heal because he didn't see them the way that they saw themselves. He wasn't getting wrapped into like the bullshit of the world. And in that way, he was being a healer because he was just ultimately being himself. And I think Christianity has taken on this form where we feel a sense of indebtedness to the world, and that our service to the world has to come in through a form of feeling like we are somehow like these broken souls, and that we have to redeem ourselves by doing good in the world, and that's our only way of salvation. And I really believe that the true way to be a light in the world is to follow your internal guide, to live your life so fully that you are just being a clear mirror for people. And when resistance comes up as you're mirroring that to people, that's a perfectly valid thing to be happening because you are being a catalyst for other people's change. And so when you're stepping into your fullness and people are not able to handle that, and there's negative reactions that come from that, you are acting as a healer because you're bringing their falseness to the surface for them to heal.
Okay, my question is, so you were just saying, like, yes, that we're supposed to be like, as we're sort of fully realizing ourselves, like that is a beautiful mirror for other people to kind of see what, because we're ultimately all sort of made of the same dirt and stardust or whatever. So I was also using a mirror metaphor when I was talking about this sort of unhealthy getting sucked into these relationships where you're just sort of acting purely as a therapist for someone, and it's not at all, and it's sort of one-sided. So what, like, I guess, clarify what is the
Like
difference?
the difference between being like a true mirror or being like a therapist mirror.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like, and which one is you? Because it feels like therapists are useful,
Yeah, they
you
definitely
know.
are.
So, like, I don't know.
I think the difference is that, like the mirroring that happens in therapy is like a choice to, within a certain period of time, be reflecting back something to someone. But it's like a conscious decision that you're making, and it comes under the context of like a certain setting, versus the mirroring that you have just by being yourself is a bit more, gosh, I don't know if I can put this into words.
Maybe we have to like reframe the question and like it's not, I mean, you're not magically supposed to know the answer. I was just curious what you thought
No,
about it.
yeah. I, well, the thing is that I really believe that the best form of therapy, actually, no, this is it. I believe that the best form of therapy is really acting as a true mirror for someone, which means just allowing them to express what's on their heart and listen with such an open mind and heart that you are just sending unconditional love to them the whole time. And so you don't really necessarily even need to say something in order for that mirroring to be effective. I think sometimes the most effective healing work happens when the person that's listening doesn't have to respond at all. And
Yeah.
when the response happens, it's an automatic response that happens just from you being like an open vessel, and it comes from a place of like true clarity, and there's no sense of obligation. So it's like the difference between feeling like it's my job to sit here and listen to this person, and I need to give them something, versus like if I just really watch out for myself and my clarity and my peace as my number one goal, then I can know that I'm being of the best service for this person. And that may mean me just saying nothing for a while, or it may mean some like spark of inspiration will come through, but it's never from me trying to like figure it out or trying to like fix them or trying to do any of that. It only comes through because I'm just like staying true. And sometimes that may look like a lot of different things. That may look like me leaving the room because I'm uncomfortable, and then I'm being the best mirror for that person. I think some of the best mirroring work that I've done recently has been putting up proper boundaries where I say, oh, you want me to do this, but I'm not going to. That's your job.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. And I think also, maybe I should change the metaphor that like, I was using a mirror probably isn't a good metaphor, because, for the sort of unhealthy, relationships that I was talking about, I feel like it was more about, taking on board their negativity and their like the sort of chaos that they were experiencing, and then sort of organizing it a bit and then giving it back.
yeah.
That is very like hurtful to me, and that was like, it was not only like not actually helpful for our relationship, but also not helpful for my mental health and my own like
I
physical
think
health.
it's really good that you made that distinction, because that is the difference between being a mirror and a sponge. Like in
Right.
that case, you were being a sponge actually, and you were like, what you were doing is essentially somebody was coming to you with their chaos, and rather than just like staying at peace within yourself, you decided to believe their chaos and then tried to intellectualize it, which can be, it can feel kind of good to like package it up and put it back to them in a way that might make sense.
Yeah.
But you can be of greater service if you just stay so firm and not believe the chaos and just see what happens by not responding to it.
I really liked when you said, you're finding a lot more of your true, sort of mirroring capabilities by putting up boundaries. That's something like that I've been like, just the term putting up boundaries is like, is such a useful one to like have in the back of my head, because then it's sort of a way for me, because I still sort of have a lot of sort of clinging guilt left over from this Christian upbringing, and like that I'm constantly having to sort of let go, and to have that sort of, verbiage and like, label to be like, no, I don't owe this person like to buy into their
Yeah, sometimes it's like, it's so freeing to just realize like, you don't owe people anything. It's not your job to save anyone or to fix them in the way that we think.
right.
And that you deserve to be at peace and happy. Like, to really know that and to take that in fully means that you have to really know that you are truly loved and truly perfect in this moment. Because like, I used to get really caught up in the whole trying to fix people thing too. And I realized that it was just a distraction away from the fact that I didn't like myself. I didn't love myself fully. I had a lot of shit going on in my mind where I was constantly judging myself. And the way for me to get away from my self-judgment was to just try to fix other people. Then I didn't have to deal with like all of my stuff. And yeah. And after going through a lot of therapy and counseling with my mentor over the past year, where I've been crying on a twice a week basis and just letting all this up, I've gotten to a point where I'm like, oh, like I can just have like the life that I want to live. And I can also know that me living the life I want to live, and being selfish in that way of like really just trusting every frickin' thing that my heart says, means that I am being of greatest service to the whole, to everyone. And I'm going to expect that there are people that are not going to be happy with that, because the relationships in my life that have been based on manipulation or people needing me to act a certain way in order for them to be okay, they're not gonna like it when I put up boundaries. But ultimately, that too is like their greatest. That too is their greatest healing lesson.
Yeah. This is so good, I think, for us to be talking about because, yeah, it's something that like I've sort of realized a while ago, but I'm always working on implementing, you know?
Well, and I think
Like it's
it's tough to,
something,
oh,
yeah.
sorry, when I talked, it interrupted you. What were you saying?
Um, well, it's just one thing to like realize that this is what needs to happen, and then breaking the sort of habits and thought patterns and sort of reestablishing like it's okay, you know, like that
Well, and
safety you're talking
especially, yeah, it really, I mean, there's so much societal conditioning that would tell you to be counter to this, right? And so it takes like a really high degree of self-trust to live your life this way. And you just keep taking baby steps and you try it out. Like, what would happen in this relationship if I just do what I really want to do rather than acting from these pre-programmed systems, institutions, oppressive ideas? What would happen if I just actually listen to my heart? And then you test it out and you find out that, wow, people are a lot stronger than I thought they were. They really seem to like navigate things on their own really well. They seem to like come through this. And I actually see that, wow, they're actually like happier now and more empowered because I didn't buy into needing to save them. And there's going to be times when you are helping people in the world in a way that may look like you're saving them. Like, you know, in very practical ways. There may be events that come up where you are like helping someone in a physical way, but it's going to be an automatic thing that just happens out of you knowing your true connection with someone. And it's almost like a beautiful expression of connection rather than a feeling of like, I'm doing this because I have to like prove to God that I'm worthy. I have to prove to, you know, whoever that I'm like a good person. It's a very
right.
different energy.
Like altruism is just a really false construct, I feel like. I don't
Yeah.
know, yeah. It's when people say that, yeah, oh, they're being so charitable or so kind. It's like, well, I think they're actually doing it because they want it. It's their truth and it makes them happy, and it happens to be very helpful to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best form of it. I mean, there can be a way of being altruistic or charitable in the world that is actually very egotistical and very, what's the word? Um, Lost the word. But it can come from a sense of like thinking that you're better than everyone else.
Mm.
And it's a way of
Yeah.
perpetuating that. You know, there's definitely a form of charity which comes from like, I have it better than everyone else. My life is
Yeah.
better than everyone else, and I'm going to continue perpetuating that by X, Y, and
Right.
Z.
But that's not really altruism at its like what its original meaning was
No,
either. So this doesn't I don't know. I just don't think it really exists in the way that people think of what it is. But
maybe, yeah.
yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I'm like not sure where this video is going to end up, but I've been dealing with a lot of this exact thing that we're talking about with my mother right now, and yeah, it's very true. All the things you're saying are like, yes, this is exactly where the direction that like I've been being pushed from everything I've been sort of surrounded by, and that I can't. That the best thing for mirroring to her and helping her grow and heal is to just be true to what I am and who I am and what I need. And yeah, it's really, really cool.
I faced that similar thing with my mother. I want to just reflect this back to you just so you know that like you're not alone in expressing yourself vulnerably like that. Because I had a similar relationship with my mother growing up where I kind of felt like it was my duty to like bring her peace, and it was my duty to like hang on to her emotional state. And I think that is reflected into a lot of my relationships, and I've carried that sense of responsibility for a long, long time. And recently I confronted that with my mother in a very direct way, and it was really emotional, and a lot of stuff came up, and our relationship definitely changed after that. And it felt like for a little while there was like a sense of distance because I felt like she didn't really know what to do with me because I wasn't playing by the rules anymore. I wasn't little Mikey anymore. I wasn't I wasn't this, person that she was relying on for, my whole life as a sense of comfort. And I was taking back my own power in a sense, which I think it was confusing for her. But I've seen that because I did that, and because possibly she went through a series of strong emotions and possibly grieving through that, she is so much more at peace now. We have such a more real relationship now. I've stopped needing to put up like a wall when I'm with her, and separate my authentic self because I don't think that she can handle it. Now I can actually like be that with her, and it feels so great. It feels really free. I don't feel like I owe her something.
Yeah, that'll be wonderful. I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Jesus. Feels kind of scary right now, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think always like losing things is always like the first step in like gaining something even better though. So I think it's gonna be okay.
Totally. I mean, that's how I see life in general. It's like people make up these definitions of the ego as being this like horrible thing, but really it's just this collective like safety net that we get to play with. It's a way for us to navigate life. And so we have these little ego mechanisms that we use to define ourselves, our relationships. It helps us, like the ascension process or us growing into oneness, whatever you want to call it, it's like a freaking wild ride. It's crazy. I mean, it's insane, this whole concept of like stripping ourselves from this 3D dimension and aligning with this time and spaceless place where everything is one. It's like a crazy thing to go through. So we have to have some sort of vehicle that allows us to enjoy the process along the way. And that's what the ego is. It's a way of like just defining ourselves along the way. And then it gets to a point where that vehicle no longer fits and serves. The context of the relationship no longer fits in the way because our souls are craving for expansion and growth. And so then it's just a time to like deconstruct. And when deconstruction happens, it can be kind of scary and traumatizing because our minds want to cling on to something that we know. And we can't know what is mysterious and formless. And so there's a period of like freaking out while a new construct is built, a new ego mechanism is built, which is more permeable and free and spaciousness and spacious. That's how I see it. Like it's all good. It's just like, it's a process. It's all a process.
Yeah, that's sort of, I feel like it's always been about like the process is such a joyful thing actually too, like even in the most like chaotic times of my life when things have been being, felt like things were getting wrenched away from me that I desperately needed. And obviously that was that's not what was happening. That was definitely like necessary growth like you're talking about. But I've always sort of had a sort of very grounded sense of like, it's going to be okay. This is the process is beautiful, like watch it happen to you. You're so lucky to like be seeing all of this, like going around you.
Yeah, the process is all there is. It's like, it's amazing. Like that's really all that's happening is a process. It's unfolding and we are life in process. The universe is life in process. The beauty is when we realize that we are connected to this, collective process. We get to see the synchronicity of it all. But it's all it is.
I feel like if empathy isn't going back to like, I've been just thinking about this concept of empathy and how it, do you think that like, if we're all sort of headed towards this like oneness and connectedness in any case, like and anyone can sort of be true to themselves and be that mirror for everyone. Like, what is this empathetic gift that people have? Like, what is it useful for? It feels very like, I don't know.
The way that I see it is that the gift of empathy is that it accelerates your awakening process. Because what it's really doing is that it's basically mirroring back to you yourself, because you're one with everything. And so when you're feeling other people's emotions, you are just feeling your own emotions. They're just coming at you very quickly. And so you're getting these, you're getting like an accelerated spiritual classroom experience. Because rather than just, feeling your day-to-day emotions, you are getting hit with like all of these circumstances because you are aware that you are connected with everything.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so in some ways it's not necessarily bad that you're like taking on other people's. It's just that, yes, these are also mine. These are
It's just
also,
what you do with it. It's just what are you doing with it? And when you realize that like the reason that these emotions are coming up for you, it's not really, in a lot of ways it doesn't have anything to do with people around you. Because people around you they're just doing the best that they can. Like everyone is just doing the best that they can, really.
Yeah.
And when you recognize that, then you realize like my issue is that I am getting caught up with thinking that it's about them when it's just about me. And how am I responding to this? And am I taking the opportunity to realize that these emotions coming up for me are a gift of wisdom for me. It's my direct gift. And the more that you get in tune with that and take the gift, the more that you get to process your own subconscious emotions that have maybe been below the surface and move through them to a place where you aren't as affected by people anymore because you don't have a need to take them on. The more and
that's
more,
really,
the more and more you realize that you are enough, like
yeah.
when you realize that you are enough fully, then you're less apt to be a sponge because you don't need to take anything from outside because you know that you have everything inside of you. You don't need to be a savior or a hero or any of these things which cause you to be a sponge because you know that as your fundamental self, without any sort of label, you are enough. And you can just rest in that, and there's no defensiveness, there's no explanation needed, you don't have to answer to anyone about it. You just know it, and you just are it.
It's so, I love listening to you talk. I love your videos too, by the way. I'm just like, was so excited and nervous when you asked me to do this because, yeah. No, because I just feel like, of all of the people who claim to have any sort of knowledge or perception about spirituality or about who we are as complete humans, not just our physical bodies, like I feel like there's so much ego that usually surrounds it, and like you're one of the first individuals that I've met that was just not about that, and that's just beautiful.
Thank you. Can I use that testimonial on my website? Just kidding.
Why do you think I gave it to you?
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And yeah. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I know I've been around a lot of spiritual teachers that have had a lot of ego invested into it. And I think it served as a way for me to like see, what I was hiding beneath too. Which is why I posted that video today. Because again, like the thing is like when it comes down to it, when you realize that you are enough, there's no comparison. Like I don't see myself as any different than you because I don't need to. Like I don't need to create some false construct where I'm like somehow more knowledgeable than you or less knowledgeable than you. Like I don't need to play that game with anybody because I know that I'm enough. There's like, I don't have to do it.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I'm so glad we talked about this. This is really like, it's so helpful sometimes to like actually put into words what sort of I've been sort of like absorbing and learning and processing, and like, yeah, beautiful.
Same here. I really appreciate you talking and like sharing your thoughts and letting me reflect back to you, because I'm right now with my channel and everything, I'm really kind of moving into this new phase of just like really spreading or like sharing my message more. And it's a daily thing where I'm like getting more comfortable with and figuring out how to like word things. A lot of this like is kind of like abstract concepts that I don't know how to discuss with other people. So this really helps me a lot, just to hear your story and hear what's, the synchronicity between the two of us, the parallels that are happening. They're really
Yeah,
helpful.
that's crazy. I mean, I guess just like needing to just go and go on journeys. So like, oh, it's so therapeutic. I love it. I don't want to ever stop or come home or have a home ever. I just am like
Right?
really about this. Like, I've just met such amazing people, and just like you turn around and it's just such a feeling of home is wherever I am. Like, it's not about having a like support base that is going to be there. It's not about that security, because there's just so many beautiful and supportive people everywhere. Like, there's no,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. And, part of it is, I'm still learning to be like, okay with being enough. But like, yeah, it's just been such a beautiful thing to just have all of these amazing, just kind, generous, like people come out of nowhere. And so it's so unexpected, but yet should be so expected, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, we'll expect more of it, because you are just like, you're unfolding into your fullness that's already there. You're just realizing it, and as you're uncovering it more and more, it just like snowballs and exponentializes, and you're going to get so much more reflection of that. So expect beautiful things.
Oh, well, that's terrifying, but exciting.
Sorry. It's
It's okay. It's okay. It's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Cool. Thank you so much for talking today.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yes, it was my privilege, and I'm very excited to like be part of this cool thing you're building. And I don't know, I just am I haven't felt so like exactly where I need to be before. Like, it keeps, like you're saying, just keeps getting stronger. Like, oh yeah, this is where it is.
Yeah.
It's good.
Thank you. Sending you so much love. I really appreciate you doing
Oh,
this.
you too. Ugh, I miss you.
Miss you too.
I want to give you a hug. Virtual hug.
Here it comes. Bye.
Right, have
Talk
fun
to
at the
you soon.
beach.
Thank you. Have a good morning. See you later.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, if any of you want to do some of these conversations with me, hit me up at m@onemichael.com. If you liked this conversation, please share it with your friends. Be sure to click subscribe below for more updates on One Michael. And namaste, Lightworker Ninjas. Talk to you soon. Ciao.